We also have the GSA Director's Report. We have that report. Is there any questions on that from board members? No questions. Okay, you want to go with the legislative report?
Okay, Lisa Badenford from the County Executive Office.
Good morning. Sorry, I'm a bit out of breath. I was running down the hall. So it's been a busy few weeks. I've been on staff just for just over 3 weeks at this point, and have been feverishly kind of working with Tom Mitchell and had meetings with the board, and also working with Paul Schlesinger. Whew, excuse me. I think I just ran the entire length of the county building. So, and have completed the drafts of this year. Paul Schlesinger, usually from what I've been able to discover the last few years, what has happened is there has been 8 requests that have happened each year. But generally there's been a tier 1 and tier 2. This year, Schlesinger, who is, excuse me, our federal consultant with called ANFA in Washington, D.C., has, because of the economic situation that's happening nationwide and in the state, has suggested that we go with a simple 8 and not do the 2-tier situation. These requests will go before the General Government Committee tomorrow afternoon. That we had to schedule a special meeting because there wasn't one scheduled until February the 9th. Senator Feinstein has requested that her request be in her office as of February the 5th at 6 o'clock. And so Senator Boxer and Congressman Thompson's requests are not due till the end of February, so we do have a bit more time, although those requests will be the same requests that will be approved by General Government tomorrow and then before this board next Tuesday. And so I'm not really going to go into all of those requests this afternoon unless you would like me to do that this morning. But tomorrow I think that we'll have a better idea of the direction that this county is choosing to go with those 8 requests. I don't think that there will be a large surprise, really. There has been 6 of 8 have been put forward before in some form or another. Thank you very much. That's kind of what I was hoping for. So the eight requests that I have drafted with heavy input from Mr. Mitchell and Paul Schlesinger over the last few weeks are what is most commonly kind of referred to as the regular earmark process. This year in late September, early October, the Army Corps of Engineers and the Federal Highway Bill will be reauthorized, and there will be significant pots of money that this county can then apply for in addition to the earmark requests. So I'll be working with Howard DeShiel as well with you and as well with Roland Sanford and other county department heads to kind of craft much more substantial projects that we can apply, whereas the federal earmark process generally has a limit about $3 million per request, and generally those requests are not funded to the full amount. There are less restrictions on federal earmarks and spending and saving. There's generally no time limit depending on the particular department they come out of. And so even if a project is not funded to the full amount, the county will be able to reapply in years after and to be able to somewhat stockpile the money until enough funding has been accumulated to be able to fully complete those projects. So I have let all of the department heads know, and I really want to make sure to thank the department heads that have been working in very, very, very short time restrictions, and we're able to produce very, very credible and very, very complete documents and application materials for me in about a matter of 48 hours. And so I really want to express, one, how very impressed and very happy and very, how pleasant it was in that experience. Obviously coming on staff and being new and then having to pretty much let a bunch of strangers know, hey, I need these documents in about 5 minutes. The department heads were more than accommodating, so I want to thank them for that. So I do want to let this body know that as the draft package stands currently, 6 of the 8 proposals are projects that will serve all 5 districts, that they are all multi-district requests. None of them compete with each other. And so the point of working with our federal consultant on such a continuous basis has been to be able to craft a package that is the most likely to leverage federal dollars to come back to the county of Mendocino. A lot of times what happens is there have been 16, there have been 20 broken into 2 tiers, like I mentioned before. And what that does is it kind of decreases the critical nature of the package. And since we have projects from several different issue areas, that is what Mr. Schlesinger and I and Mr. Mitchell kind of decided that would actually make it the most likely to leverage federal dollars, because really that is what the LEDGE program is for. That will go before General Government Committee tomorrow, and will be brought back to you on February the 3rd for approval. At the March 16th regularly scheduled General Government meeting, I will bring forward the rest of the draft documents that are also included in the legislative program. And in the meantime, I will be calling once again for meetings with each of you to get your input on more conceptual, broad-reaching state and federal legislative and budget priorities that are of more of a conceptual nature. For example, last year, one of your major state priorities was leveraging funding and support for rural fire districts. And so it will be kind of those kinds of conceptual ideas once again. So I would implore you to kind of, as you go through your day and as you go through your agendas over the next couple of weeks, to keep that in mind. I know that at this point, with the budget situation and with just the general incredible nature of the issue areas that county governments deal with, there will always be more than we can possibly have fed from the state and from the federal government. But if we can craft those as broadly as possible, I think that will be able to give us a legislative program that I and staff can then turn around and more effectively advocate on a more specific level on different pots of legislation. Stateside is a very different story at this point in time. We had expected initially that Alcalde and Fay would have suggested to the county of Mendocino that we decrease the amount of federal proposals that we put forward this year. That actually wasn't necessarily as true. Federal budgeting, of course, is very different, where the federal government is allowed to carry a deficit, whereas the state is not. The last 2 years I've had several years of legislative experience, serving 3 for the California State Budget Chair at the time. So the last 2 years, the Speaker of the Assembly has come into chambers and let the members know that they can introduce fiscal bills, but really that would only be somewhat for a ceremonial nature, and that the majority of them will die on what is called the appropriations suspense file, which is any bill that comes through the legislature that will cost the state more than $150,000 is placed on suspense automatically in the Appropriations Committee. And then as the budget comes through, as the quarterly tax payments come through, those bills are pulled off in priority off of the suspense file. So working with Don Peterson, who has the longtime